this afternoon, and it is this afternoon, we're going to be going over familiar to commands. But before we do, I know what you're thinking. You're looking at me and you're going, my goodness, where does he get his shirts? Well, let me tell you. I got this one at DXL, and no, they're not paying me to say that. It's affordable fashion for the freakishly tall, is what I like to say. So anyway, if you want to get a shirt like me, which you probably don't, but anyway, yeah, today we're talking about familiar commands. So we're going to be using commands to talk to somebody, one person, only one person, and somebody that we would call by their first name. Okay, probably a friend, probably somebody we know. Now also, I want to dispel one myth. When we see the word command, quite often we think, oh, we're screaming at somebody. There's an exclamation point after it. You know, you have an image of a drill sergeant screaming at somebody, drop and give me 20, something like that. And yes, those are commands. But in the grammatical sense, a command is anytime you're telling somebody to do something. Okay? It doesn't have to have an exclamation point after it. As a matter of fact, if you walked up and looked deeply into the eyes of somebody and said, kiss me, you fool. I know, I walked up to the camera to make it extra creepy. Anyway, that's technically a command, okay? If you say, hey, pass me the salt, there's no exclamation point there, but it is a command, okay? So you see that these are actually used a whole lot more than you might think. Okay, there are two types of commands. There are affirmative commands, meaning you're telling someone to do something like run, okay? And then there are negative commands, all right, which is like don't run, okay? So, the way we form, and again, this is for two commands. This is for one person that we would call by their first name, okay? Or like a pet, also use the two commands there. Okay, the way we form affirmative commands for the vast majority of verbs is to take the to form, okay? And we're going to use the verb besar, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, the verb besar means to kiss, okay? Besas is the to form. Drop the S. Ta-da! If you say besar, you're telling somebody, kiss. Okay? Now, if you've watched my other video on object pronoun placement, if you haven't, I'd go watch it. If you have, great. You'll understand this. Because when you have an affirmative command, and then you add a direct object pronoun in there, instead of just saying kiss, so just go randomly kiss things, okay? But you want to say kiss me, okay? You take the besa, the command right here, besa, and then you're going to take that direct object pronoun, which in this case is me, me, and you tack it right onto the end. Bésame would be kiss me. Okay? Now, not all commands are going to have a direct object pronoun. They might have an indirect object pronoun, or they might not have any. Okay? If you're just telling somebody, hey, run, corre, okay, the to form of correr is corres, drop the S, you're left with corre. Okay, there's no object pronoun there. But if you do have one, for an affirmative command, it gets tacked right on the end. Bésame. Okay? Now, negative commands, okay, are a little tricky. Take the yo form of the verb you're using. In this case, one more time, we're using besar. Okay? We're going to drop the O, and then we're going to add what's called the opposite vowel. In other words, we're going to put this into the to form. Okay, we're gonna take this as our root, B-E-S, base, but we're gonna try and make it look like a to form, but we're going to swap vowels. So instead of an AR verb looking like an AR, like besas, okay, now we're gonna try and make it look like an ER verb. So in this case, normally when we're conjugating, this would be besas, but now we swap vowels. We change that A to an E, beses. Let me put the word no in front of it. No basis. Don't kiss. Okay? If we were doing an ER verb, such as correr, okay? The yo form is corro. We drop the O, and then we add the opposite vowel in the letter S. So an ER verb is not going to look like an AR verb. So we would say no corras. Don't run. Okay? It's a little tricky. Okay? For those of you who know what the subjunctive mood is, yes, the negative to command is the exact same as the subjunctive mood. So, anyway, but what happens if we have a direct object pronoun there, okay? We just had somebody say, kiss me. Now maybe somebody's saying, whoa, 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 don't kiss me, okay? With negative commands, this word may is going to get scooched right up in between the no and the basis. So it's going to look like this. We have no, the me moves, comes up in front of the negative command. No me, and here's our command, basis. I'm running out of space. No me basis. Okay? And again, that's just goofy Spanish rule number 14, okay? For an affirmative command, pronouns get tacked right onto the end. For negative commands, your pronouns get squished in between the no and the me, okay? So, besame, oh, kiss me. And then you walk up to that person and you realize they've just eaten a garlic sandwich and you're like, oh, wait, no, no, no. No me beses, don't kiss me, don't kiss me, okay? Now, I know what you're thinking, but Senor Mason, that's too easy. This is really simple. Aren't there any irregular verbs? Well, I'm glad you asked that question because yes, there are. These are a list of the most common irregular affirmative commands. All these verbs here are totally normal when you put them in the negative form, in the negative command form. Well, with the exception of here, that's a little goofy. But, yeah, so these are the affirmative commands over here. Venir, to come. If you want to say, hey, come here, you say, ven. Decir, to tell. You want to say, hey, tell me, okay? Di, or dime, okay? Salir, you want to tell somebody to leave. Sal. Hacer, you're trying to tell somebody to do something. Haz something, haz la tarea, something like that, do the homework. Tener, you want to hand something to somebody. You say, here, ten, have it, okay? Ir, you want to say go, becomes be. Poner is like to put or to set something. If you're trying to tell your, somebody in your family, hey, set the table. Pon la mesa. And then the verb ser, to be, you want to tell somebody, hey, be good, something like that. Say, okay? So there's an easy, well, it's actually a really corny way to remember these. It's kind of it's not really an acronym, but it's a really silly idea that somebody came up with. And it goes like this. If you read these going down, it kind of sounds like you're saying, Vin Diesel has 10 weapons. Vin Diesel has 10 weapons. I know, it's kind of like that. It's corny, but it's one of those things that's so corny, so stupid, it'll stick in your head. So if you can remember, Vin Diesel has 10 weapons, you can remember the irregular informal commands or familiar commands. Okay? And that's basically it. Oh, now, a couple questions for you. And I'm going to put the answers down in the description box down below. How would you say these commands? Okay? They're going to be affirmative and negative. I want you to say, help me. And the verb for help is ayudar. Okay? So help me. And don't help me. And then the last one is tell me and don't tell me. See if you can get those right. All right? Good luck.